Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, we're talking about Game Boy Advance emulation with NanoBoyAdvance. NanoBoyAdvance is a cycle-accurate Game Boy Advance emulator. It aims to be as accurate as possible while also offering enhancements such as improved audio quality. And NanoBoyAdvance just got its first update in over a year. So at the time of filming, NanoBoyAdvance version 1.8.2 is the latest update. And as for changes here, we've got bug fixes, optimizations, and improvements. And they've implemented a brand new shader. Now they do say here, please back up your save files before updating to be safe. Next up, we're talking about GPUs and Intel. And if you're in the market for a new GPU and you're interested in Intel, you may want to pay attention to Intel to see what they're cooking up. They're teasing here, possibly teasing an Arc B770. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a whole lot to go on at this moment. I don't have a release date or pricing or specs or performance figures or really anything of that nature. This could be a whole nothing burger cooked up by their social media team. So if we take a look here, they've been responding to select tweets with "stay tuned." This person says, "I need a B770, please give it to me. A solid pick, stay tuned. Want a B770 for gaming? Now that's a gamer with great taste. Stay tuned." And speaking about staying tuned in GPUs, next up we're talking about AMD. And AMD has just announced the Radeon RX 9060 XT. They're saying this may be the fastest GPU under $350, directly competing against Nvidia. So AMD is claiming that the Radeon RX 9060 XT is going to be about 6% faster than Nvidia's RTX 5060 Ti. At 1440p graphics. They've tested about 40 different games here. However, it's worth noting here that AMD is comparing their 16 gig card versus Nvidia's 8 gig card. And they're saying here that the Radeon RX 9060 XT is going to have 15% gaming performance per dollar across 40 games. And you can see here 16 gigs versus the 5060 Ti 8 gigs. There are two different versions of the 9060 XT. There's one for $350 with 16 gigs of VRAM and one for $299 with 8 gigs of VRAM. They're both releasing on June 5th. In my opinion here, I'd spring for the extra $50 to double the VRAM and get probably way better performance and just overall satisfaction with the card. Now, to be honest with you, I've got no idea why they're still making GPUs with 8 gigs of VRAM in today's day and age. It doesn't make sense to me. Maybe it'll make sense to them. I have no idea here. Maybe it's just an easy out. Maybe there's just some leftover chips or something, and that's how they make them. I've got no idea. I'm guessing AMD is doing this because Nvidia did. But either way here, let me know your thoughts about the RX 9060 XT, both the 8 and 16 gig variants in the comments below. And let me know your thoughts about these compared with the 5060 Ti. And if the RX 9060 XT at $349 for the 16 gig is attractive. And continuing to talk about GPUs and Nvidia, next up here we're talking about Gamers Nexus. Now, if I was in charge of Nvidia, I would be really paying attention to what Gamers Nexus is doing here because this could be huge. So here's the latest post from Gamers Nexus over on their YouTube page, and they say, after Nvidia's huge breach of trust that we covered, we are officially opening an investigation and deep dive into more of Nvidia's shady business tactics. That is saying quite a bit. They go on to say here, and I'd argue this gets a lot juicier. This will take a long time to put together and will be done to Gamers Nexus classic standards. We are not going to let go of this bone until we fully understand the extent to which Nvidia may strong our businesses. Several system integrators, partners, and members of the media have approached us at Computex to inform us of underhanded dealings from Nvidia. This is pretty huge. But wait, there's more. Check out this last paragraph. I spoke to several people at Computex today who expressed that they have felt threatened by Nvidia at various points, including non-media business partners. We want to put together the full picture of this. Feeling threatened by Nvidia, I would say, is also massive. But let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. What are your thoughts about Nvidia? What are your thoughts about Gamers Nexus investigating them? And what are your thoughts about some of these allegations? Next up, we're talking about Doom: The Dark Ages. Now, Doom: The Dark Ages seems to have been extremely successful since launch. It's been talked about quite a bit in the media. And Bethesda here says, thank you for making Doom the Dark Ages the biggest launch in ID's history. 7 times faster to 3 million players than Doom Eternal. That is pretty huge. I'm wondering how many of those are coming from Xbox Game Pass, though. Now, the reason I'm saying this is because at this point in time, I don't have specifics. No numbers have been provided in terms of consoles versus PC or any of that nature just yet. So this is really all I've got to go on, and it's SteamDB. I can see how many people are playing this game at the exact same time here over on SteamDB. And right now, the all-time peak for Doom the Dark Ages is sitting at 31,470 people playing it, which is a lot less than 3 million. That's a far leap from 31,000 to 3 million. So I'm assuming here that a huge chunk of those players are on Xbox Game Pass. I could be wrong though. I want to point out here I'm not knocking Doom the Dark Ages. I love Doom, I love the overall series, and I want to see it succeed. I'm just very curious to see where these numbers are coming from given the fact that the Steam numbers seem so low. Anyways here, this is to put things into perspective, and this is for Helldivers 2. The creative director of Helldivers 2 says this. Around 2.5 million Helldivers playing the game every week. Super excited to see how many more log in with this update. Now, Helldivers 2 is not on Game Pass, and this is what I wanted to point out. Taking a look over on SteamDB for Helldivers 2, the all-time peak for this game of people playing at the exact same time is 458,709, which is significantly higher than Doom the Dark Ages. And that's what I'm wondering. If Helldivers 2 was on Xbox Game Pass, would that increase its popularity even more? I would want to argue and say yes, that Xbox Game Pass is really helping games get an extended reach. And speaking about people picking up and playing games, next up we're talking about Borderlands 4. And I think Randy Pitchford wishes he didn't say this, or maybe he doesn't realize he said this, and maybe he doesn't realize he put his foot into his mouth. But here's the quote over on Insider Gaming. Real fans would pay $80 for Borderlands 4. So here's the conversation that happened over on Twitter. This person says, Randy, the game better not be $80. Don't take that risk. A lot of gamers aren't going to pay $80 and feed this notion of constant increase of the price tag. You are the CEO. You have some say with the price when it comes to your publisher. And here's what Randy said. A, not my call. And B, if you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen. My local game store had Starflight for Sega Genesis for $80 in 1991 when I was just out of high school working minimum wage at an ice cream parlor in Pismo Beach. And I found a way to make it happen. Now, I can kind of see where Randy was coming from with this, but at the same time, I just think the overall sentiment there was in very poor taste. And it seems other people are feeling the exact same way. This person here says, Dog, we are not paying $80 for a Borderlands game fully knowing you'll do multiple seasons passes. That cost another $100 and you'll probably sell weapon skins too. Someone else says, that has to be one of the worst CEO replies from recent memory. That's an interesting post. This person says, implying people aren't real fans if they don't fork over $80 for this game sounds like a Reddit user logic. Come on, man. And this person, everyone disliked that. I'm not going to lie here. I'm not really on board with the we'll price it at whatever we want and real fans are going to buy it mentality. I'm kind of against that quite a bit. We'll have to wait and see here as to what happens, but this has really put me off being interested in Borderlands 4 when it launches. Maybe I'll wait for a sale. Let me know your thoughts about that one in the comments below. Next up, we're talking about ASUS or ASUS or subscribe to Mr. Sujano, depending on how you wanted to pronounce that one. And ASUS has just unveiled the ASUS Pro WS 3000 watt Platinum. Here is a brand new 3000 watt PSU that seems pretty intense. I mean, if you have or had a lot of money sitting around and you decided to pick up 4 Nvidia RTX 5090 GPUs and wanted to run them all at the same time off one PSU, well, this PSU may be for you. I'd say that this is not for the average user, although it may be exciting to have 3000 watts available if you ever wanted to use it, if you ever could use it within a fixed budget. I don't know here. They say here the fans have a lifespan of up to 80,000 hours. It's got a 10-year warranty. It is supposed to be well cooled. And it is fully modular. Let me know your thoughts. Next up, we're talking about Super Smash Bros. Melee. And if you're a fan of Melee and a fan of competitive play, you might be a fan of this, or maybe not if you're a fan of Moky. Moky accidentally fell through the stage again. This is a completely separate tournament than before. but he didn't win the tournament because of it. The prize pool that he lost out on for this match was about $2,000, and I would say here that this is one of the many charms of the game and also live competition. And you can see the reactions. It generated quite a bit of chatter. Super unfortunate, but also super hilarious. What a way to go out. And last up here, I was debating about talking about this one, but it's in the news and a lot of people are talking about it. And it's being reported that Michael Bay's Skibidi toilet project is officially in production. If you're a fan of Skibidi Toilet, you'll probably be a fan of this news. If you're not, you can always check out Skibidi Toilet stuff on YouTube. It's extremely popular. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. We talked about a bunch today. Feel free to discuss anything we talked about in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button. Check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate. Save your state.